How you do anything is how you do everything. Think about that for a second. Every choice, every action, every habit, it all adds up. If you want to win, you can't treat some moments like they matter and others like they don't. You can't push hard only when it's easy, then pull back when it's uncomfortable. Winning requires a standard, a mindset where every action counts because every action shapes who you are becoming. This is not another hype talk about success. This is about building yourself into the kind of person who wins in every area of life. Not sometimes. Not when it feels convenient. Every single time. The truth is, most people don't lose because they lack intelligence or talent. They lose because they let comfort lead the way. They delay. They doubt themselves. They wait for motivation. They convince themselves that being average is normal, that coasting is acceptable, and that later is a safe place to live. But later is a trap. Average is a trap. Your life changes the moment you stop playing small. The moment you stop listening to the noise around you. The moment you decide to show up every day with intention, even when it's hard, even when no one is watching, even when your feelings are trying to talk you out of it. This is your wake-up call. You are about to learn how to build a mindset that wins, not sometimes but always. A mindset that moves before excuses take over. A mindset that finishes what it starts. No hype, no fluff. Just the truth. You need to take control of your life. You want to win. You want results. You want success in everything you do. But here's the truth. Most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they keep choosing comfort over progress. Every time you choose comfort, you're making a trade. You're giving up growth in exchange for temporary ease. And that trade feels small in the moment, but it costs you everything in the long run. Progress demands effort. It doesn't feel natural. It doesn't feel easy. It doesn't wait for your mood to improve. Progress is about choosing to do what works, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Because that's when it counts the most. Your brain is wired to keep you safe. It hates uncertainty. It hates discomfort. It will feed you every reason to avoid what matters. Do it later. You're too tired. You've done enough for today. That voice is comfort talking. That voice is the enemy of progress. If you don't learn how to shut it down, you'll live your life in the same place, telling the same excuses, hitting the same limits, feeling the same pain. But progress isn't about giant leaps every day. Progress is about showing up, even when it feels small. It's waking up early when you want to sleep in. It's pushing through when you don't feel like it. It's keeping promises to yourself when nobody is looking. That's how you grow. That's how you win. You don't win once. You win every single day you choose progress over comfort. Most people want results but avoid the discomfort required to earn them. They want the rewards without the discipline, the praise without the effort. But you can't have it both ways. You either pay the price for progress now or you pay the price for staying the same later. One leads to strength. The other leads to regret. And regret is heavy. The worst kind of pain is looking back and knowing you could have done more but didn't. So ask yourself right now, do you want the temporary relief of giving up? Or do you want the lasting pride that comes from pushing through? Winning is not luck. Winning is not talent. Winning is a decision. A decision to keep going when you feel like quitting. A decision to step into discomfort again and again until discomfort becomes your normal. There will be days when you don't feel like showing up. There will be mornings when your body screams for more sleep, when stress clouds your mind, when every excuse sounds logical. That's the test. Will you fold or will you move? Winners don't have special advantages. They aren't magically motivated every day. They just make better choices when it's uncomfortable. They keep showing up when it's boring. They keep going when it's frustrating. They choose growth when it feels easier to stay still. The real key to progress isn't intensity, it's consistency. Anyone can show up once in a while when they feel inspired. Winners show up even when they're drained, when they're tired, when the mood is gone. Progress rewards discipline, not emotion. It respects action, not excuses. It listens to results, not feelings. Your future is built in those tiny moments when you feel like quitting but choose to keep going. That's when your strength is forged. That's when your confidence grows. Every time you make that choice, you build self-respect. You prove to yourself that you can handle more. You start to believe that you're becoming the kind of person who wins, not just once, but over and over again. Comfort will always be there, whispering to you. It will always try to convince you to slow down, to play it safe, to wait until later. But comfort never leads to power. Comfort never builds character. Comfort never gives you the life you want. Comfort keeps you average, and you are not meant to be average. Progress is messy, it's tiring, it's slow, but it's real. And every step you take, no matter how small, adds up. That early workout, that extra hour of study, that one difficult conversation, that single refusal to quit, they all compound over time into a life you can be proud of. You don't need big speeches or perfect plans. You just need to show up and move forward every single day. If you want to win, get used to being uncomfortable. Get used to pushing through resistance. Get used to doing what's necessary instead of what's easy. Because easy doesn't change you. Easy doesn't make you strong. Easy doesn't create pride. This is about self-respect. Every time you choose progress over comfort, you're proving to yourself that you are capable, reliable, and strong. That's the foundation of success. Not talent, not luck, but consistent self-respect built through action. And one day, you'll look back and realize that every uncomfortable moment, every difficult choice, every day you didn't quit added up to a life you're proud to call your own. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to do the work for you. No one owes you anything. This is your life, your fight, your decision. Stop waiting for the perfect time. Stop waiting for everything to feel right. Take action now, because every second you delay, comfort gains more power. You already know what you need to do. Deep down, you know where you've been playing small. The question is, will you do it? Will you choose progress when your mind craves comfort? Will you act in spite of fear, doubt, and resistance? Winners don't wait to feel ready. They move when it's hard. They keep going when the mood is gone. They are not driven by what feels good. They are driven by what creates growth. That's the mindset you need. That's the standard you must build. That's how you start winning, not just once, but always. Today, when your mind offers you the easy way out, say no. Say no to the comfort that weakens you. Say no to the delay that steals your time. Say no to the habit of quitting before it gets good. And say yes to progress. Yes to action. Yes to becoming the kind of person who wins, not sometimes, but every single day. You can have every goal mapped out, every plan written down, and all the talent in the world. But if you don't learn to control your emotions, you'll sabotage yourself over and over again. That's not opinion, that's reality. Because when your emotions are in charge, logic disappears. Discipline weakens. And instead of doing what's right, you do what feels good in the moment. But here's the problem. What feels good right now isn't always good for your future. Think about how many opportunities are lost in seconds of emotional chaos. Someone speaks out of anger and ruins a relationship. Someone quits a great job because they felt insecure for 5 minutes. Someone wastes an entire day because frustration took over. These aren't accidents. These are emotional decisions. If you don't learn how to stay calm when chaos hits, you'll keep reacting instead of responding. You'll keep making quick decisions that create long-term regret. You can't win at life if your emotions run your life. Winning begins when you learn to stay in control. Not sometimes, but especially when it's hard. Understand this. Control doesn't mean you're a robot. It doesn't mean you never feel anything. Control means you know what to do with what you feel. It means you have the strength to pause before you respond. It means you choose actions based on values, not moods. Most people never pause to think about how their emotions shape their day. They feel stress and snap at people. They feel tired and skip commitments. They feel anxious and give up halfway. Then they wonder why life keeps looking the same. But here's the truth. Emotions are temporary, while decisions have consequences. If you keep reacting from emotion, you'll keep repeating patterns that trap you. The key is awareness, catching yourself before the spiral begins. When pressure comes, don't let it push you into panic. When fear rises, don't let it freeze you. When anger burns, don't let it speak for you. The strongest people are not the ones who feel nothing. They are the ones who feel everything and still stay grounded. Real strength is the ability to sit in discomfort without escaping it, to hold steady when everything in you wants to lash out or shut down. When frustration builds, breathe through it. When emotions run hot, delay your response. Waiting isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's you protecting your future from a decision your emotions want to make for you. Some people only work when they feel motivated. They only eat clean when they feel guilty. They only push forward when they feel excited. That's a weak foundation. You can't build a winning life on emotional triggers. You need structure. You need rules that don't depend on how you feel. You need to be able to say, "This is what I said I'd do and I'm doing it, whether I feel like it or not." Because emotions will lie to you. They'll tell you you're not good enough. They'll tell you you're too tired. They'll tell you it's okay to quit. But feelings aren't facts. Just because you feel something doesn't mean you have to act on it. Not everything you feel deserves a reaction. Some emotions just need to be acknowledged and left alone. The more you observe without obeying, the more power you reclaim. You've probably noticed how one emotional reaction can poison your entire day. You snap at someone and now the room is tense. You skip your workout and now your energy is gone. You hit snooze and now your momentum is shot. One moment of emotional weakness creates a ripple effect. Winning requires rhythm, momentum, flow, sharp focus. And rhythm collapses when emotions run unchecked. That's why you need emotional discipline. Not once in a while, but every day. Every time you feel triggered, use it as a test. Instead of reacting, stop and ask, what's the right thing to do right now? Not the easy thing, not the emotional thing, the right thing. That pause, that single breath is powerful. Because emotional control isn't a talent. It's a skill. You practice it every time you choose calm over chaos, reason over reaction, growth over drama. First, it's hard. Your emotions will push back, they'll want to win. But every time you choose clarity over chaos, you rewire your brain. You build a new habit of staying in control. Learn this difference. What you feel is not always what's real. Feeling anxious doesn't mean something's wrong. Feeling tired doesn't mean you can't keep going. Feeling irritated doesn't mean someone is against you. Emotions are signals, they tell you to pay attention. But they aren't orders. You need emotional awareness. Knowing what you're feeling and why. Because once you can name an emotion, you weaken its control. Once you can trace its root, you start healing instead of hiding. Most people avoid emotions altogether. They distract themselves, numb themselves, dump their feelings on others. But you are not most people. You are here to win. Winning requires ownership of your thoughts, your feelings, your actions. When you build emotional control, you build better relationships. You stop overreacting. You stop taking everything personally. You stop creating drama. Instead, you become someone people can trust. Someone who listens, who speaks with clarity, who doesn't explode at every inconvenience. That kind of calm strength earns respect. That kind of self-control makes people want to follow your lead. Understand this. Emotional control doesn't mean ignoring how you feel. If you need to cry, cry. If you need to talk, talk. But don't let emotions control your decisions. Don't let them decide your work ethic. Don't let them decide how you treat people. Don't let them decide whether you show up or disappear. You decide. You lead. You own it. Some days, your emotions will feel stronger than your logic. You'll want to lash out, quit, disappear. That's when you remind yourself, feelings pass, but my actions stay. What I do now builds my future. When emotions take over, everything feels harder. Your focus drops. Your performance slips. Your relationships suffer. But when you stay calm, you create space. Space to think, to plan, to grow. That space gives you control. That control gives you peace. And peace is power. Your future is shaped by how you respond under pressure, in disappointment, in failure, and in frustration. Every day you're being tested not by the world, but by your own emotional habits. Each time you choose strength over reaction, you improve. You evolve. You become the kind of person who doesn't just set goals but actually achieves them. Start paying attention to what you feel. Then choose what you do next with intention. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be in control. And the more you build control, the more power you'll have to shape your life the way you want it. Self-doubt has one mission: to keep you still. It doesn't bother you when you're doing nothing. It doesn't show up when you're safe and comfortable. It shows up when you're about to do something meaningful. And here's the trap: if you hesitate even for a second, self-doubt gains power. Starts quiet, then grows louder. Starts small, then becomes a wall that blocks you from moving forward. You've felt it before. You had an idea but paused to think about what could go wrong. You wanted to speak up but paused to think about who might judge you. You planned to start but paused to think about whether you were ready. And in that pause, self-doubt built its case. Convinced you to delay. Convinced you to back out. And later, you didn't feel relief, you felt regret. That regret didn't come from failure. Came from not trying. People don't fail because they take action. They fail because hesitation replaces movement. They fail because they think too long instead of doing. There's only one way to silence self-doubt: move. The moment you take action, fear fades. The thoughts settle. The noise weakens. But when you sit still, those thoughts multiply, wrapping around your motivation until it suffocates. Winning isn't about being fearless. Winning is about moving before fear convinces you to stop. You don't need confidence first. You don't need to feel ready. You need to move right now, not later, because confidence doesn't come before action. Confidence is something you earn by acting. Most people kill their own progress in their head before they even take the first step. They overthink every decision, every detail, every possible outcome. But life doesn't reward overthinking. Life rewards those who start, even when it's messy, even when they don't have every answer. You can't grow if you keep waiting for perfect conditions. You can't change your life if you keep delaying the very actions that could change it. Action breaks fear's hold. Action breaks hesitation's grip. Action builds momentum. You need to train yourself to move fast. The moment you feel an idea rise up, take a step. Write it down. Make the call. Start the task. Begin. Don't wait until you're confident. Don't wait until you're certain. Don't wait until the mood is perfect. Because if you give self-doubt even a few seconds, it will start asking questions you're not ready to answer. And by the time you find an answer, the moment is gone. The people who win in life aren't the ones who always feel ready. They're the ones who move anyway. They don't wait for the green light. They go when the light is yellow. They understand speed matters. Because hesitation costs confidence, time, energy, and opportunity. You're not stuck, you're just waiting too long to move. You're not incapable, you're just letting fear talk too long. The answers you're looking for? They're on the other side of action. Self-doubt can't survive momentum. It feeds on stillness. It grows when you pause. But once you move, something changes. Fear loses its grip. Resistance weakens. Clarity starts to build. Think about how different your life would look right now if you acted quicker. If you made that call. If you started that habit. If you took that opportunity instead of analyzing it to death. Those aren't just lost moments, they're lost growth. Make this your rule. The moment I feel resistance, that's when I move. Not later. Not tomorrow. Right then. Don't negotiate with self-doubt. Don't give it even 1 second to plant roots. Winners don't wait for fear to leave. They act while fear is still there. They do it scared. They do it unsure. But they do it. When you practice fast action, something in your identity changes. You stop being someone who waits, someone who hesitates, someone who overthinks. You start becoming someone who moves, who trusts, who creates results. You stop asking for permission. You stop doubting every move. You stop living in your head. Instead, you start proving to yourself again and again that you are capable of action, even when it feels uncomfortable. And that proof builds confidence. Action builds confidence, confidence builds momentum, and momentum builds consistency. People often say, "I wish I could stay consistent like other people." The secret is simple. They don't let hesitation grow. They act fast, even when their hands are shaking, even when their heart is racing, even when their mind is unsure. You want to feel powerful? Do the thing you've been avoiding. You want to feel proud? Take the step you've been putting off. Move now, not later. Stop waiting for motivation to magically appear. It won't. Motivation follows action, not the other way around. Self-doubt strikes fast. That's why you must act faster. Build urgency within yourself. Trust your gut before fear rewrites your story. Because if you give doubt time, it will twist everything until even small steps feel impossible. Feel the resistance. The moment your brain says, "Not now," notice it. Move immediately. Take one small action. Send the message, open the laptop, start the workout. Refuse debate. Don't sit and negotiate with excuses. Repeat. Every day, again and again, until quick action becomes automatic. Over time, you become someone who moves without needing a perfect plan, without needing approval, without needing everything to feel right. People will wonder how you stay consistent, how you get so much done. They won't see the private moments when you moved through resistance, when you act. And before fear took over. That's what separates the ones who talk about change from the ones who actually change. Make this your standard. If the excuse shows up, I move faster. Not recklessly, not carelessly, decisively. Excuses lose their power when you stop respecting them. When you stop treating them like facts. When you stop giving them room to grow. You don't owe your excuses anything. You owe your future everything. And your future is built one small decision at a time. The decision to move before hesitation wins. You don't need more confidence, you need more movement. Motivation will follow. Confidence will catch up. But it all begins with action. Fast, decisive, consistent action. That's how you stop living in your head. That's how you silence self-doubt. That's how you become unstoppable. There will be days when you wake up and feel nothing. No motivation. No excitement. No spark inside. Your mind feels quiet. Your body feels heavy. And your heart doesn't want to move forward. These are the days that matter most. Anyone can show up when they feel inspired, when the fire is burning, when they feel unstoppable. That's easy. That doesn't require discipline, that's emotion carrying you. But life isn't built on your best days. It's built on your empty days, the ones where you feel nothing, yet show up anyway. Motivation is a feeling. Comes and goes. Discipline is a choice. It stays when motivation leaves. If you only work when you feel motivated, you'll never create lasting success. Because there will always be days when that feeling is gone, when life feels dull, when inspiration disappears. Discipline is what keeps you moving when your emotions don't. Discipline is showing up even when it feels like nothing matters. Those low-energy mornings, those gray afternoons when you want to stay in bed, when you want to disappear, that's where character is built. When you move on those days, you're telling yourself, I'm not controlled by moods. I'm not driven by comfort. I lead myself even when nothing pushes me. Every time you do this, you're rewiring your brain. You're teaching it that action doesn't depend on feeling. That's power. Lower the entry point, not the standard. If you can't give 100%, give 40%, but give it. Even 40% of consistent effort is better than 0% while waiting for the perfect mood. Do one thing, not everything. You don't need to crush the entire list. You just need to start. One small action is enough to break the inertia. Honor your word. If you said you'd do it, do it. Even on empty days, keep promises to yourself. That's how self-respect is built. When people feel flat, they stop. They say, not today. I don't feel like it. I'll do it tomorrow. And every time they do that, they train their brain to quit when things get quiet. They make comfort the default. They build a habit of escape. The problem? Life doesn't wait for you to feel perfect. And neither does success. When you show up even when you feel nothing, you separate yourself from the crowd. Most people live reactive lives. They only move when life pushes them, when emotion drives them, when external pressure is on. But if you can move without pressure, without feelings, without hype, you become unstoppable. Because nothing outside you controls your consistency. Discipline isn't about forcing yourself every day. It's about becoming someone who moves by default. You stop saying, I don't feel like it today. You start saying, this is what I do, whether I feel like it or not. Your identity shifts. You become someone who doesn't need ideal conditions to stay committed. On your empty days, don't rely on willpower alone. Willpower is inconsistent. Build systems, routines so strong they run even when your emotions don't. A set wake-up time. A planned workout schedule. A fixed writing or work block. These routines are your safety net when energy disappears. Here's something powerful. Action creates feelings, not the other way around. You don't wait to feel motivated to move. You move and then motivation shows up. That workout you didn't want to do, you feel better after it. That task you didn't want to start, you feel proud once it's done. Your emotions don't lead you. They follow your behavior. Every time you show up on an empty day, you create evidence. I can rely on myself even when it's hard. That evidence builds trust, and that trust builds quiet confidence. You don't just hope you're disciplined, you know you are because you have proof. The people who win aren't the ones who had the easiest path or the most motivation. They're the ones who kept showing up, even when no one clapped, when no one saw them, when no one believed in them. That quiet, boring consistency becomes unstoppable momentum. Some days you'll feel heavy. Some days you'll feel flat. Some days you'll feel like disappearing. Good. That's training. Those days are opportunities to strengthen your discipline muscle. They're a test to see if you'll keep promises even when there's no hype. This is the day that matters. Anyone can work when it's easy. Today I'm earning my respect. Small steps still count. I don't need perfection. I need movement. This is who I am. I'm someone who doesn't quit when it's quiet. You won't always feel strong. You won't always feel excited. But if you can show up when you feel nothing, you will always move forward. Because success is not about energy, it's about reliability. And reliability is rare. The way you start your morning sets the tone for your entire day. What you choose to do in those first few minutes after waking up determines the mindset you carry into everything else. And if the first thing you do is avoid discomfort, if you choose ease the moment you open your eyes, you're training yourself to avoid growth for the rest of the day. Mornings are powerful because they're quiet. Your mind is fresh. The world hasn't distracted you yet. What you do with those moments either builds momentum or kills it. If your first act is to hit snooze, check your phone, or seek comfort, you're telling your brain, this is what I do when it's hard. I back off. And that pattern spreads. Society trains most people to seek comfort first thing in the morning. Sleep in a little longer. Scroll through your phone. Delay responsibilities until you feel ready. But waiting to feel ready is the fastest way to stay stuck. Avoiding discomfort feels good for a few minutes but costs you the entire day. When you choose something uncomfortable first thing in the morning, you send a powerful message to yourself. I don't run from challenge. I move toward it. It doesn't have to be huge. It just has to push you. A cold shower. A workout you've been avoiding. Sitting in silence to journal when your mind wants distraction. Tackling the one task you keep postponing. These acts don't just wake your body, they wake your mind. Ask yourself, what do I least want to do right now, but know I should? That's your target. It's different for everyone. Some need to move their body. Some need to face their thoughts. Some need to start a project instead of checking messages. Whatever it is, make it your first victory of the day. Discomfort trains resilience. When you deliberately choose it, you start building a new identity. You become someone who doesn't wait for confidence to act. You become someone who doesn't need ideal conditions to execute. You become someone who leads themselves instead of being led by comfort. That identity shift bleeds into everything. Your work, your relationships, your mindset. Procrastination doesn't come from laziness. It comes from fear. Fear of failure. Fear of effort. Fear of pain. And fear grows in the absence of action. But if you train yourself to do something difficult every morning, before your mind has a chance to negotiate, fear loses its power. Because now discomfort feels normal. Resistance stops being a signal to stop and becomes a trigger to start. Here's what happens when you practice discomfort daily. You do the thing your brain resists. You realize you survived and even feel stronger. Your confidence rises because you have proof you can handle hard things. That confidence spreads to everything else in your day. It's not about intensity. It's about identity. You're not just completing tasks. You're becoming someone who moves when others freeze. This doesn't require extreme acts. It requires consistency. Take the cold shower. Do 10 minutes of journaling when your brain wants to scroll. Start the workout you've been avoiding for weeks. The discomfort is the point. The small, hard thing trains your mind to stop running from challenge. Every morning, there's a moment when your mind whispers, "Do it later. Skip it today. You deserve a break." That's your signal. That's your cue to act immediately. Move before the debate begins. Because once you start negotiating with your comfort zone, you lose. When you build the habit of choosing discomfort first thing in the morning, you're doing more than checking off a task. You're rewiring your brain. You stop expecting life to be easy. You stop being surprised by resistance. You stop needing everything to feel right before you take action. You simply act. And that's what separates winners from everyone else. The benefits of morning discomfort stack over time. You feel stronger because you keep proving you can handle resistance. You waste less time because procrastination loses its grip. You feel calmer because hard things no longer shock your system. They're normal. And when real-life challenges show up, you're ready. Because you've been practicing every morning. Your mornings don't need to be perfect. They need to be intentional. Start each day with something you'd normally avoid. Something small but uncomfortable. Something that makes you say, "I don't feel like doing this." Then do it anyway. That single choice sets the tone. I am not led by feelings. I am led by commitment. Stop telling yourself mornings are too early. Stop telling yourself you need more time. Stop telling yourself you'll start later. You've had enough time. You don't need a new plan. You need proof. And proof comes from doing something uncomfortable every single morning, before your brain has a chance to stop you. When you do that, something inside you changes. You stop avoiding resistance. You stop waiting for motivation. You stop backing down from small challenges. Instead, you start moving fast, decisively, intentionally. And over time, that becomes who you are. Someone who wins the first battle of the day every day. You become what you repeat. Your thoughts shape your actions turn into habits, and your habits harden into your personality. That's why so many people feel stuck. It's not because they don't want change. It's because they keep repeating the same patterns that hold them back. You weren't born lazy. You weren't born fearful. You weren't born undisciplined. These are patterns you picked up along the way. Maybe you grew up surrounded by people who played it safe. Maybe you went through hard seasons and built survival habits. Maybe you copied behaviors from those around you without even realizing it. At first, these patterns feel temporary. But when you repeat them long enough, they become familiar. And familiarity tricks your brain into believing it's who you are. People often say, "That's just how I am." No, that's just what you've practiced long enough that it feels natural. You're not your patterns. You're the one who chooses them. But here's the warning. If you don't break your patterns, they will become your personality. And once they become your personality, you start defending them. You start saying things like, "I'm just not a morning person. I'm just bad with money. I'm just inconsistent." No, you've just practiced certain behaviors so much that you started calling them your identity. When you let bad patterns run on autopilot, you stay in cycles of procrastination. You keep reacting to life instead of leading it. You create excuses that feel like truths. And over time, these patterns shape your entire life. Your health, your finances, your relationships, your confidence. The longer you leave them unchecked, the harder they are to break. You can't change what you don't notice. You have to step back and ask yourself, what patterns am I repeating right now that are holding me back? Be brutally honest. Do you scroll your phone the second you wake up? Do you avoid difficult conversations? Do you always delay the one thing you know matters most? Do you tell yourself, tomorrow, more than you tell yourself, now? These aren't just small actions. They are loops. And every time you repeat them, you make them stronger. Patterns don't break on their own. You have to interrupt them deliberately. Start with one pattern, the one that's stealing your momentum the most. Don't try to change everything at once. Focus on one shift. For example, if you always reach for your phone in bed, put it across the room. If you avoid workouts, set your clothes out the night before and commit to 5 minutes instead of an hour. If you procrastinate hard tasks, start your day with them before anything else. You don't need perfection, you need interruption. Breaking patterns will feel strange at first. Your brain will push back. It will try to convince you that this new behavior is wrong. That's normal. Growth always feels awkward at first because you're stepping away from familiarity. But discomfort isn't danger, it's progress. People love to say, "I'll fix that habit later," but later never comes. The longer you wait, the deeper the pattern becomes. And soon, it doesn't feel like a choice anymore, it feels like who you are. That's how good people stay stuck in mediocre routines for years, sometimes decades, because they keep waiting for a magical right time to change. You're not stuck because you're broken. You're stuck because you're untrained. You built these patterns through repetition, and you can unbuild them the same way through deliberate, repeated action. You don't need a miracle. You need awareness, a decision, and consistent action. Pick one pattern to replace. Focus on the one habit that creates the most drag in your life. Create a simple replacement. Don't just stop the habit. Replace it with something positive. Example: replace scrolling with journaling. Replace complaining with a gratitude list. Replace skipping workouts with 5 push-ups. Repeat it daily until it feels natural. The old habit will fight for survival, but with enough consistency, the new one will win. When you change, people might not understand. They might even say, "You've changed." Good. You're supposed to. You're not here to make everyone comfortable. You're here to evolve. You don't owe loyalty to habits that drain you. You don't owe the past version of yourself anything. Your habits are not your identity. Your reactions are not your destiny. Every time you choose differently, you are creating space for the real version of you, the one buried under layers of patterns that don't serve you anymore. That version of you isn't fearful, lazy, or reactive. That version is focused, disciplined, and intentional. Watch yourself like you would someone you care about. Notice when you slip into autopilot. Notice when you do something just because it's familiar, not because it's right. Pause. Breathe. Choose differently. Even if it feels awkward. Even if it feels wrong. Because every time you interrupt the pattern, you weaken it. Every time you choose differently, you strengthen the version of you that you actually want to become. You are not your patterns. You are the person who decides which patterns stay and which ones end. Every decision is a vote for who you want to be. Don't let old habits write your future. Don't let old loops define your identity. Break them before they harden. Break them before they steal years of your life. Because the difference between who you are and who you want to be is simply this: the patterns you choose to repeat starting today. You can't hear your own thoughts when you're surrounded by noise. You can't hear your real voice when everyone else's opinions are louder than your own. You can't live a focused life when your attention is being hijacked every minute of the day. Most people aren't stuck because they lack potential. They're stuck because they can't hear themselves think. We live in a world that screams for our attention. Notifications, social media feeds, messages, opinions from people who don't even live our life. From the moment most people wake up, their mind is already owned by the world. They check who messaged them before they check in with themselves. They open apps before they open their own thoughts. They consume noise before they create clarity. The result? They feel anxious, distracted, and overwhelmed. Not because life is harder, but because their attention is scattered. The world tells you what to care about, what's urgent, what's trending, what's expected. But here's the truth. Just because it's loud doesn't mean it matters. Noise tricks you into thinking you're busy when you're really just reacting. It keeps you from doing the deep work that actually moves your life forward. When your mind is crowded with other people's opinions, fears, and drama, you lose track of your own goals. You question what you already know. You drift into comparison, anxiety, and confusion. Noise steals clarity. And without clarity, you can't move with confidence. This is why silence matters. Not silence from life, but silence from distraction. You need moments every day when the only voice you hear is your own. Morning time with no phone. Walks without earbuds. Breaks without social scrolling. Silence isn't about being antisocial. It's about being intentional. It's about creating space for your own thoughts to rise to the surface. Many people avoid silence because it forces them to face what's inside. The doubts they've been ignoring. The fears they've been suppressing. The uncomfortable truth about where they are in life. So they drown it out with constant stimulation. But you can't grow if you're constantly running from your own thoughts. Growth happens when you stop, listen, and face what's real. Control your inputs. Unfollow accounts that drain you. Mute notifications that don't matter. Stop checking your phone the moment you wake up. Protect your mornings and evenings. Start your day with clarity, not chaos. End your day with reflection, not noise. Create no-noise zones. Give yourself at least one window each day, 30 minutes, 1 hour, where there's no phone, no TV, no outside input. When you make space for silence, you start to hear things you've been ignoring, your actual priorities, your creative ideas, your deeper questions. You realize you already know more than you think. You've just been too distracted to notice. Your inner voice gets stronger when you give it room to speak. And when your inner voice is strong, the world's noise loses its power. You stop chasing what everyone else is doing. You stop comparing. You stop reacting to every external push. Instead, you start making decisions from a place of calm confidence. Saying no to noise isn't about disappearing from the world. It's about protecting your energy so you can show up better. You don't have to answer every message immediately. You don't have to consume every piece of news. You don't have to say yes to every social distraction. Boundaries aren't selfish, they're survival. When you stop letting the world dictate your attention, you stop feeling scattered. You move from reactive to proactive, from chaotic to grounded. And that groundedness creates focus, the kind of focus needed to build something real and meaningful. Say no to the noise so you can hear yourself again. Because your voice matters. Your thoughts matter. Your clarity matters. But they only rise to the surface when you stop letting everything else take up space in your mind. Silence isn't empty. It's full of answers you've been too distracted to hear. Nobody becomes stronger by hiding their flaws. You don't grow by pretending you have it all figured out. The real work begins the moment you look at yourself with complete honesty and admit what's holding you back. It's uncomfortable, but it's necessary. Most people spend their lives avoiding the truth about themselves. They avoid the mirror because they don't want to see reality. They avoid self-reflection because it might expose something they need to change. They avoid feedback because it stings. But if you avoid truth, you avoid transformation. You stay stuck in patterns that limit you, trapped in cycles that exhaust you, and locked in a version of yourself that you've already outgrown. Facing your weaknesses doesn't make you weak. Ignoring them does. It takes strength to stop running from what's broken. It takes courage to stop defending your bad habits and actually fix them. You can only improve what you're willing to admit. And the sooner you admit it, the sooner you can change it. You can't build a better life on top of denial. You can't fake progress with empty confidence. Progress begins with raw honesty. I procrastinate when I'm scared. I avoid conversations when I feel insecure. I quit too easily when things feel heavy. That's not weakness, that's self-awareness. And self-awareness is power. Ask real questions and give real answers. Where am I falling short? What excuses keep showing up in my life? What am I running from? Don't sugarcoat it. Don't spin it into something positive. Tell the truth. Nobody is born disciplined. Nobody is born consistent. Nobody is born fearless. These are learned skills built through effort and choice. If you struggle with self-discipline, you're not broken, you're untrained. If you avoid discomfort, you're not weak, you're untrained. If you lack confidence, you're not doomed, you're untrained. And training begins with honesty. Many people waste years protecting their weaknesses instead of fixing them. They joke about their bad habits to hide the pain. They compare themselves to people doing worse so they feel better. They surround themselves with people who enable their comfort zone. But defending a weakness keeps you weak. Stop justifying it. Stop normalizing it. Stop saying, "That's just who I am." It's not who you are, it's just who you've practiced being. Owning your weakness isn't about shame, it's about responsibility. Shame says, "I'm broken." Responsibility says, "I can do better and I will." That mindset changes everything. Because now you're not waiting on anyone else, you're not blaming circumstances, you're not stuck. You're in control. Identify the pattern. Be specific. Is it procrastination? Lack of focus? Poor communication? Create a simple daily action. If you procrastinate, start with a 5-minute rule. Commit to just 5 minutes of the task. If you avoid communication, start by having one small honest conversation per day. Track it. Write it down. Watch your progress. Patterns don't change by accident, they change by attention. Facing your weaknesses stings at first. It exposes things you'd rather ignore. But it's a good pain. It's the pain of progress. The pain that comes before strength. Because when you face your weaknesses, you take their power away. You stop being controlled by what you refuse to acknowledge. Too many people waste energy trying to look like they have it all together instead of actually fixing what's broken. But progress doesn't care about appearances. Progress cares about effort. The world doesn't need you to look perfect. It needs you to be real enough to grow. Every weakness you face is a doorway to a stronger version of you. Laziness can become discipline. Fear can become courage. Inconsistency can become reliability. But only if you face it. Only if you stop running from it. Your weaknesses don't define you, your response to them does. You can keep avoiding them, or you can start evolving. But you can't do both. Choose strength. Choose truth. Choose to face yourself so you can finally grow into the person you're capable of being. Excuses don't start loud. They start small. Like a whisper in the back of your mind. You can do it later. You deserve a break. It's not urgent right now. And if you don't shut them down instantly, they grow. Excuses build momentum the longer you entertain them. One small delay turns into a wasted hour. A wasted hour turns into a wasted day. And soon, you're left wondering where all your time and energy went. The scary part? Excuses often sound reasonable. They disguise themselves as logic. I'll start when I have more energy. I'll wait until I'm more prepared. I'll do it when I'm in the mood. But underneath every excuse is the same thing. Fear. Fear of effort. Fear of discomfort. Fear of failure. The fastest way to silence an excuse is to act before it takes root. Don't debate it. Don't analyze it. Don't think about it. Just act. Move before the voice has a chance to win. Strong people don't have fewer excuses. They just don't listen to them. They've trained themselves to see resistance as a trigger for movement, not retreat. When their mind says, skip it, they move faster. When it says, later, they act now. This is why they succeed while others stay stuck. They don't give excuses a seat at the table. Here's how to do it. Catch it early. The moment you hear yourself negotiating, stop and say, this is resistance, not truth. Move immediately. Do something small. Send the message, open the laptop, start the first rep, write the first sentence. Refuse debate. Don't argue with excuses. They're designed to win arguments. Beat them by moving before the argument begins. When you act before your excuses grow, you teach yourself two things. I can trust myself. I don't need to feel ready to take action. This creates a feedback loop. More action, more confidence. More confidence, less hesitation. Less hesitation, more results. Be careful with smart excuses. I need to plan it out more before I start. I'll just wait for the right time. I'm not in the right mindset right now. These sound logical but are still avoidance. Perfectionism is just procrastination wearing a suit. Research shows that hesitation triggers your brain to switch into protection mode, which increases fear and lowers action. The solution: move within 5 seconds. When the thought, "I should do this now," pops up, count down. 5-4-3-2-1, move. No debate. No delay. No excuses. Stop treating excuses like they're facts. They're not. They're practiced thoughts you've repeated so often they feel real. You owe your excuses nothing. You owe your future everything. Excuses aren't personality traits, they're habits. And habits can be replaced. Every time you choose action over excuses, you're training a new reflex. Eventually, acting fast becomes automatic. When you feel resistance in the morning, move. When your brain says, "Skip the gym today," go anyway. When you think, "I'm too tired to start," start for 5 minutes. Do this enough and you'll notice something. Excuses stop showing up as often because your brain realizes they don't work on you anymore. Excuses steal your time, your potential, and your momentum, but only if you let them. The strongest version of you isn't the one who never hears excuses. It's the one who acts before excuses win. So build this rule into your life. The moment I feel resistance, I move. That single rule can change everything. Because while others sit and think about moving, you'll already be halfway to your goal. Your life will never rise higher than the standards you hold for yourself. You can set all the goals in the world, make every plan, read every book, and watch every motivational video. But if your identity doesn't match the level of your goals, you'll keep falling short. Not because you're incapable, but because you keep showing up as a version of yourself that can't sustain what you say you want. Most people try to change their results without changing their identity. They try to behave differently while still believing they're the same person who quits, procrastinates, or cuts corners. And even if they make progress for a while, their old identity pulls them back down. Because you don't rise to your goals, you fall to your habits. And your habits are built on what you believe about yourself. To win at the highest level, you have to train your identity, not just your habits. You need to become someone who expects more from themselves. Not sometimes. Not when it's easy. Every single day. That means no more calling yourself lazy, inconsistent, or unmotivated, even as a joke. Because every time you say it, you reinforce it. Define your highest standard. Ask, what kind of person reaches the life I want? Be specific. What time do they wake up? How do they handle pressure? What do they say no to? What do they tolerate? Act like that person now. Even if it feels unnatural, even if it feels forced. Identity changes through action, not intention. Repeat until it feels normal. The more you act like your future self, the more evidence you build that you are that person. And evidence is what rewires belief. Most people live by mood-based rules. I'll do it if I feel good. I'll give effort when I feel inspired. That's weak. Your standards have to be stronger than your feelings. Your worst day should still reflect a high minimum standard. Not perfect, but committed. Not flawless, but focused. Your identity isn't built in one breakthrough moment. It's built through small decisions repeated daily. When you keep promises to yourself, when you act in alignment with your values even on hard days, you stop identifying with the old version of yourself and start trusting the new one. Confidence isn't built from affirmations, it's built from proof. Proof that you can handle hard days. Proof that you keep going when it's boring. Proof that you don't quit when no one is watching. That proof creates self-respect. And self-respect is the foundation of success. When you begin raising your standards, you might face resistance from people around you. They might say, "You've changed." Good. You're supposed to change. You're not here to stay loyal to an old identity that doesn't serve you anymore. The version of you who hesitated, who settled, who played small, that's not who you are becoming. Stop asking, "Can I get away with this?" Start asking, "Does this match who I am now?" That single shift moves you from surviving to leading yourself with integrity. Wake up when you said you would. Finish the task you promised yourself. Say no to what pulls you backward. Say yes to what stretches you. These aren't random actions. They are votes for the future version of you. The future you, the one who doesn't hesitate, who doesn't settle, who follows through, doesn't appear magically. That person is built one day at a time through consistent alignment with your highest standards. When you repeatedly act like that version of yourself, you stop trying to change and start being different. It stops feeling forced and starts feeling natural. Don't train your identity through comfort. That will only make you soft. Train it through discipline, through uncomfortable mornings, focused evenings, and hard choices made without applause. Because when your identity matches your highest standard, success stops feeling forced. It feels natural, not because life got easier, but because you became stronger. Your habits, your mindset, and your results all rise to the level of who you believe you are. So believe higher, act higher, train your identity like everything depends on it, because it does.